One. Cause it makes trouble go away. Yeah. Oh my, my, my. I was so lost till now. Didn't know I was in doubt. To meet the others, my brothers, hear me today. I'm gonna ride this train. Never going back again. No, no, no. Everything that came before there led me to the end. Yes, it did now. Yeah. Listen to me. This journey never ends. On you it all depends. It's your life, you can learn it, you can burn it. It's on you. If you won't play this game, nothing comes easy, baby. You have to earn it or return it another day. Me, I'm gonna ride this train. Never going back again. Yeah. Everything that came before there led me to the end. We're going on tonight. Seems to me nothing's what it seems tonight. Yeah. Headed to the new sunrise. Never know what you're gonna see tonight. We're going on tonight. Seems to me nothing's what it seems tonight. Headed to the new sunrise. Never know what you're gonna see tonight. Yeah. One day they'll hear a sound. They'll come from miles around to hear the brothers who make their pain go away. Make everything go away. We're gonna ride this train. Never going back again. Oh no, no. And everything that came before there led me to the end. We're going on tonight. Seems to me nothing's what it seems tonight. Yeah. Headed to the new sunrise. Never know what you're gonna see tonight. We're going on tonight. Seems to be nothing what it seems tonight. Yeah. Headed to the new sunrise. Never know what you're gonna see tonight. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Two wheels in the open road. Got the throttle wide open. Feel my pace. Got 100 horses between my legs. No destination, no end in sight. Just me and the open road, riding into the moonlight. On my two wheels, all that I need is white lines. life and death in my own hands. I am my own justice, I am my own man. I never look behind through all that I have seen. 'Cause all I need is white lines of gasoline, white lines of gasoline, white lines of gasoline, white lines of gasoline. We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag 'cause we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We make up America, this amazing America.
Hey, this is Garrett Smithley, driver the number 0 JD Motorsports Chevrolet, and you're watching All Pro Broadcasting.
You're watching All Pro Broadcasting with
Freedom Train.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Extreme Motorsports brings you the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you by Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment, and in part by TD's Tree Service. Live coverage coming your way right now on the All Pro Broadcasting Network.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy Monday to you all. Welcome back to Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series for round 4 of some more high-speed, side-by-side, heavy braking, eyebrow raising, fuel saving, pit stop craving, apex aiming, and most importantly, great racing. This is indeed the road side of things once again, ladies and gentlemen. It's a multi-class series that involves or includes the Ford Mustang in the Grand Sport class and also the MX-5 Miata in the Street Tuner class. I'm your commentator once again, Sean Zulu, and I am accompanied by our cameraman and my co-commentator, and also a special guest who's going to be joining us here in a few minutes, Kevin Ford and Dave Everly. Got a cup there, Dave?
Yeah, I do, Sean. How you doing tonight?
I am doing good, and how are you?
Oh, I'm ready to watch some good road racing here.
Oh, I hear you on that one there, Dave. And tonight, Dave, we're racing at Lmola Motor Speedway. Well, Speedway, what am I talking about? It's Lmola. It's a road course, so Speedway gets out of the vocab there. And Dave, at the moment here, looks like the ST class or Street Tuner class is already qualified, and it looks like of the 22 of John D. Allen took the pole. And in second place, we had the 3 of Robert R. Hartley. Right behind him, the 16 of Travis Schwenke in third place, the 64 of David Payton in fourth place, and the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci in fifth.
Looks like the 63 of Brian Cartier will be starting in 6th position. The 89 of Tyler McFarlane will be starting in 7th. The 80 of Derek Holland will be starting in 8th position. The 09 of George Fike will be starting in 9th. And the 090 Michael Margolin there will be starting in 10th position.
That 68 of Michael Key starting in 11th. The 17 of Daniel Kruger starting in 12th. The 57 of Edgar Sanchinelli starting in 14th. And the 60 of Chris Thorman starting in 17th. And Dave, these drivers are still qualifying. Actually, all these Mazda have qualified, just like I had mentioned earlier. But now the Ford Mustangs are still out there putting down their lap times. And right in front of me, ladies and gentlemen, is the standings for the GS class, Grand Sport class with Ford Mustangs, and also the ST class, Street Tuner class with the MX-5s. And for the GS class, we're going to start with them. We have the 93 of Mike Dam in the lead with 96 points. In second place, right behind him, is the 54 of Travis Davis, or TD, who's currently with 90 points, which is 6 points behind 93 of Dam. The 3 of 70. In third place, we have the 71 of Clint Vigas with 83 points, which is 7 points behind the 54 of Davis, who's in second place. Then in fourth place, we have the 95 of Russell Ruddock with 80 points, which is 3 points behind the third place driver, Clint Vigas. And last but not least, in fifth place, we have the 13 of Tyler Shiflett with 79 points, which is 1 point behind the 95 of Ruddock, who's in fourth place. And moving on to the ST class Street Tuners with the MX-5s, we have that 22 of John D. Allen in the lead with 102 points. In second place, right behind him, trailing him, qualified second place right behind John D. Allen, who qualified on the pole for his class, is Robert R. Hartley with 100 points, which is 2 points behind Allen. And the 64 of David Payton comes out in third place with 76 points, which is 24 points behind Robert R. Hartley. So that's a huge jump. So the 64 of David Payton and everybody else below him are going to have to work extra hard to try and make up as many points as possible. That 4 of George Fike in the 09. In fourth place, 09 of George Fike, 74 points, which is 2 points behind 64 of David Payton. In fifth place, we have the 80 of Derek Holland with 69 points, which is 5 points behind the 09 of George Fike, who's currently in fourth place. And Dave, tonight, since we're at Lmola, please tell us about tonight's race.
I sure can. Tonight will be an endurance race. It will be 90 minutes long. It is a 3.02 mile track here. The temperature right now is 66 degrees with a track temperature of 74 degrees. It is under partly cloudy conditions with the wind northeast at 6 miles per hour.
And Dave, these drivers have a 30 incident limit and have no resets, just like we have seen in the previous races. So basically what that means is that if they end up damaging their car beyond repair, they do not have a second chance at bringing it home. Well, they do have a chance of staying in the pits for a long time to get it repaired, if they can get it repaired before the white flag flies. But if not, they'll pretty much be done for the race.
Yeah, it looks like tonight, right now, we're going to have a 25-car field if we combine both classes here. As you said, the Mustangs are out on the track now, laying down their qualifying times here. So it should be a fun race, especially watching how the faster Ford Mustangs works their way around the slower Mazdas here. Well, I don't really want to say slower because the Mazdas can pull more speed in the turn, but the Mustangs are definitely quicker on the straight stretches.
Oh, most definitely, Dave. And these drivers are going to be carrying a lot of speed, just like you had talked about, and they're going to have to be careful. More speed comes with more responsibility, and what that basically means is that they're going to have to be extra careful when getting around those slower class cars in the ST class or the MX5s. And Dave, the 93 of Mike Dam took the fastest practice time. So let's just watch how he gets around the track during qualifying, because he's still being shot on the paw as we speak. And ladies and gentlemen, also the lap times of these Mazdas and the Mustangs are not too far off. The Mazdas are going to be running about 2 minute 4 second lap times, and some fast drivers out there are running 2 minute 3 second lap times. Then going to the Mustangs faster class, they're going to be running about 1 minute 58 seconds to 1 minute, or 157 to 158 seconds. So it just basically depends on tire wear, as we have seen in all these races. The more laps these guys put on those tires, the slower they become due to how the tire wear goes. And Dave, as we speak, that 93 of Mike Dam is using the benefit of the draft of that 24 of Logan Mitchell, who's right in front of him, and he in turn is following the 95 of Russell Ruddock. And Dave, being at Lmola here tonight, have you ever had any put down any lap times at this track at all?
No, I haven't. I'm not quite sure too much about this track, but it's fun watching these drivers make their way around the track.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, Dave. These drivers do such a great job out there. It's a road course. It's nothing compared to the oval side of things. Over here, you have to take into account a lot of things compared to the oval side. You have to take into account the braking points, the apexes. You have to know when to overtake somebody, because it's not always safe to make a pass in the turns. Some turns are just so narrow that you're better off going into the turn 1 wide compared to 2 wide or 3 wide. And ladies and gentlemen, these Mustangs tonight in the Grand Sport class, they're gonna be pitting on, they can go about 17 laps on a tank. They're gonna go a total of 45 laps, because it is a 90-minute race tonight, endurance race. It's a 47% fuel limit for them, and they're burning about 0.406 gallons per lap. I know those numbers probably won't mean much, but just in case you knew that, wanted to know that. The MX-5 in the ST class, the street tuner class, has a 41% fuel limit, which is 6% below the Mustangs, and they're burning about 0.25 gallons per lap. They can go 18 laps on one tank, and a total of 40 laps, which is 5 laps below the total of the Mustangs. Well, Dave, it looks like qualifying is actually almost done, and we still have that 93 of Mike Dam still on the pole with a 158.155.
Yeah, we got about less than 30 seconds left here until qualifying is over. So these guys are going to try to finish up their lap here and put down a good speed. I'm not sure if anybody's going to have anything for the 93 of Mike Dam, as he is running some really great lap times. So, but once again, you know, qualifying is totally different than race times, so it'll be interesting to see what happens during the race.
Oh, absolutely, Dave. You know, Mike Dam, he's been a very, very competitive and fast driver at pretty much every track we've seen him race at. So, and, you know, seeing him here on the pole here at Imola is not a surprise either, because he's been in the top 3 consistently at every single track.
Well, Sean, it looks like qualifying is over, and the 93 of Mike Dam will stay on the pole. He will be followed by the 14. Stephen Thomas will be starting in second position. The 38 of Jeff Jacobs will be starting in third. The 54 of Travis Davis, also known as TD, will be starting in 54th place. Or starting in 4th place, sorry. And the 37 of Matthew Catilla will be rounding out your top 5 starters.
And that 95 of Russell Ruddock is starting in 6th place. The 18 of Brian D. Howard in 7th place. The 8 of Pascal Iannucci in 8th place. The 13 of Tyler Shiflett in 9th place. And that 42 of Brandon Whitworth rounding up the top 10.
The 00 of Raymond Bader Jr. will be starting in 11th position. The 59 of Scott Brooks will be starting in 12th position. And the 24 of Logan Mitchell will be rounding out your starting order, starting in 13th position.
And Dave, it looks like the 55 of Michael Burgett is in the room tonight. He didn't put down a qualifying lap, so he's going to be the last car starting, or the last Ford Mustang or Grand Sport class car starting the race tonight.
Yeah, it looks like we have about a minute left until these guys will start gridding here, just giving the chance for any cars left out on the track to finish their lap here. As we're going to should be doing a pace lap, and the Mustangs will start the race there on the green flag, and then the Mazdas behind them will be starting about 10 seconds there behind them, starting the Mazda race.
Looks like we have about 30 seconds and dropping as we speak. These drivers just getting ready, Dave. You know, all these those ST drivers or the Mazda drivers were lucky because they had 10 minutes to rest after qualifying. But these drivers in the Mustangs just got done with qualifying and are going to be behind the wheel of those Mustangs for the next hour, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tasking. I know even on the oval side, you know, doing a 90-minute to an hour and a half race, your arms get tired, your feet get tired, even though it is a simulator. But I mean, it definitely wears you out racing these races. So it'll be interesting to see if fatigue will take a part.
Oh, absolutely, Dave, and it's definitely going to kick in, especially since these drivers are used to running only a 60-minute race, but tonight it's 30 minutes longer, so they're going to have to be either take it extra easy or maybe even have to slow down a little bit just so they could keep their concentration.
Yeah, most definitely. And before we start the race, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Rick Motec. We definitely want to thank you for your suspension or your sponsorship there. And also, if you're looking for high-performance sim racing equipment, make sure to go give them a tech at www.ricmotech.com. This series is also brought to you in part by TD's Tree Service. So definitely, if you're in the Knox, Indiana area, give them a call if you have any tree services out there.
And Dave, by the looks of it, these drivers are now actually gridding up. We still have that 93 of Mike Dam leading the left lane, or left line, while the 14 of Stephen Thomas is on his outside, or his right side. This is the road side, so we're going to use left and right more than we do outside and inside. And behind the 14 of Thomas is going to be the 54 of Davis, who's side by side with 38 of Jacobs.
Yeah, all these drivers, I mean, they got a good group of drivers here. They're all fast. So we're going to be seeing a lot of racing here as these guys are going to be battling out for 90 minutes tonight.
And Dave, for tonight's race, what do you think is going to be the most important for these drivers? I mean, what do you think is going to help them be able to finish the race tonight?
Well, definitely pitch strategy is going to play a big part. Is it's a 90-minute race here, so also controlling your fatigue, maybe a little bit of tire wear, tires conservation is definitely going to play a part. These guys are going to have to pick their battles. They're going to have to definitely pick their battles. They don't want to be too aggressive, too quick, get put into the wall and end their race before it even starts. So there's a lot of aspects to road racing, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. As it looks like the pace car is going to go ahead and take these drivers out on their pace lap.
And Dave, this track, unlike Brands Hatch, I should say, has longer straights. So therefore, bump drafting or pitting in with a pack is better than pitting in alone. Looks like the pace car's off. These guys still holding pace speed, which is 53 miles an hour. That green flag flies that 93 on the outside line. On the left lane, Mike Dam puts the pedal down. So does the 38 of Jeff Jacobs behind him, who's side by side with the 14 of Stephen Thomas. And Dave, going back to the 22 of John D. Allen in the ST class, we still have him pacing at the moment. Looks like he puts that pedal down. The 3 of Robert R. Hartley on his right side sees it coming as they're going to be side by side on the straightaway, entering turn 1. Right behind him is the 16 of Travis Schwenke, and looks like Dave, they're getting back single file. That 3 of Robert R. Hartley decided to drop in behind him to set them up for turn 1.
Yeah, it's definitely a long race. As we said, this is a 90-minute race, so these drivers will definitely be looking to just ride and picking their battles as they go through. As looks like they're all going to be single file here as they come into that next hard right turn, or hard left, and then into the next right-hand turn.
Triple 5 of Giuseppe Iannucci trying to look to the left side of the 64 of David Payton, who just got a better entry into the left-hander and is going to have a better run exiting, as the triple 5 of Giuseppe ends up having to back off. And Dave going back up front, looks like that 14 of Stephen Thomas lost the spot to the 38 of Jeff Jacobs, who's now behind the 93 of Mike Dam. Mike Dam hard on the brakes in the left-hander. Very, very heavy braking zone, but not as heavy as turn 1. And also going back to the ST class with the MX-5s, it looks like the 3 of R. Hartley is just pretty much riding behind the 22 of John D. Allen and using his draft on the straightaways and just pretty much deciding not to get around on him.
Yeah, we definitely got a long race. It looks like the Mazdas here will be putting in 40 laps tonight. here at Lmola. So they've definitely got a long race. So these drivers are just kind of riding behind each other and looking to see and just seeing what line the guy in front of them is riding, and hopefully hoping that the driver in front of them makes a mistake to where they can get around them.
And Dave looks at the 5 of Giuseppe Iannucci, made the pass on the 64 of David Payton, who seems to try and do the over and under on him, but doesn't have enough as he was sliding, exiting the turn. Nope, he's going to try and cross him over, but it looks like Giuseppe has a better line and is going to pull away from him again, exiting the turn into the next turn. And Dave also going back to the 54 of Travis Davis, who seems to be really close to the 14 of Stephen Thomas. So just going to watch the in-car of the 54 of Davis and see how he's being able to follow the 14 of Thomas. And Dave, by the looks of it, Davis seems to be going a little bit harder into the turns compared to the 14 of Thomas right in front of him. But in turn, the 14 of Thomas keeps going slower, but ends up getting a better run exiting the turn, because they do say slow in, fast out is the way to go on the road course. And Davis just pretty much single file throughout the track, combined in both classes. And by the looks of it, Dave, the 93 of Dam, is not yet close enough to catch the first lap car, or the first slower class car.
No, it's going to be a while because, as we said, this is a 3.02 mile track. They've got a lot of turns, so it'll probably be a little bit. But once they start coming in for their first green flag pit stops here, it'll definitely shake up the field and mix it up.
Oh, absolutely, Dave. And just like we have seen, those lap cars, or the slower class cars, I should say, not lapped, but slower class, they can either hurt or help the leader. They can hurt him in a way that if he ends up catching them on a bad turn or in a turn, he's going to have to slow down more. But then if he ends up getting them on a straightaway, he's going to use the benefit of the draft, using their draft to get around them.
Yeah, it looks like the 93 of Mike Damer's kind of pulled out to a little bit of a comfortable lead over the 38 of Jeff Jacobs. I'm showing him right about a 2-second lead there over the 38 of Jacobs, as he's just hitting his marks and not driving from the rearview mirror and just making sure he hits all his points.
And that's the best way to go, Dave. He has no pressure whatsoever. You know, it doesn't seem as though he's trying too hard. At the same time, he is losing the guys behind him. But the lead just went from 2.1 seconds to 2.9, which is almost 3 seconds. And Dave, going back to the ST class with the Mazdas, the 16 of Travis Schwenke, the 3 of R. Hartley, and the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci are really close to each other and using each other's draft to try and get up to the 22 of John D. Allen, who seems to have a better lead on him.
Yeah, I'm currently showing that the 22 of John D. Allen's got right about a 1.5 second lead over the second place car, the 3 of Robert Hartley. But as you said, Hartley, Schwenke, and Iannucci there are kind of bunched up, trying to use the draft to close up that gap, as they are. It looks like they're starting to gain on the 22 of John D. Allen.
And so, Dave, we did mention that we only have 30 incident limits tonight, so these drivers are going to have to be extra careful because every off-track is going to count. every car contact is going to count as well. So if they do end up racing hard too early, they just might end up making too much contact or getting off the track too much by pushing it, and they might get disqualified by the server automatically.
Yeah, I got to give credit to these guys. They're definitely doing something that I'm unable to. Is you're watching them hit their brake points and running bumper to bumper through these turns. A lot of confidence there in the driver in front of you and the driver behind you, making sure they don't check up too hard and you make contact coming into the turn.
Oh, absolutely, Dave. And, that's going to also be very crucial when these guys, when their fatigue starts kicking in, because the longer the race goes, the more the braking points become more difficult to maintain, the more the apexes become more difficult to hit. Basically, they're going to lose their driving abilities once as the race goes.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, just looking at the side of these cars as they come into the break, you see that strong orange glow there from the front of the tires. That's them drivers hard on them brakes trying to get these machines slowed down so that they can make through the apex of those turns.
And Dave, those heavy braking zones are the most crucial ones because if you end up missing that heavy braking zone, you're going to end up off the track or maybe even in the wall. Even worse, you might end up hitting the car in front of you.
Going back up here, we're going to check on the leader of the Mustangs there, the 93 of Mike Dam. As I'm currently showing, he's almost up to right about a 3 to 4 second lead there over the 38 of Jeff Jacobs. So he is definitely putting on a clinic tonight on these guys as he is hitting all those marks perfectly so far.
Absolutely, Dave. He is doing a great job out there, slow and steady. Well, they do say slow and steady wins the race. At this point, looks like the 93 of Mike Dam is actually proving that saying there. But we're going to see how he progresses towards the end of the race.
Yeah, looking here at my total lap times, it looks like so far the 93 of Mike Dam has got the fastest lap on the track tonight for the Mustangs with a 157.941, almost a full second faster than the fastest car behind him, who would be the 38 of Jeff Jacobs, and he put down a 158.810 as his best lap time tonight.
And Dave, speaking of the 38 of Jacobs, it looks like his lead, or the lead of the 93, is getting ever bigger. It's now up to 5 seconds from about 3 to 4 seconds a lap ago.
Yeah, but fortunately the 38 of Jeff Jacobs has got the 54 of Travis Davis right there behind him. Hopefully these guys can hook up, work together, use that draft, and try to make up some time there on that leader.
Oh, and Dave, just like we had seen last week at Brands Hatch, between Kevin C. Ford and the 54 of Travis Davis, they kept working together using the draft, and they ended up running down the leader to a pretty significant rate. I mean, he was way up there, but they ran him down until before the pit stops there, and they gained a lot of time due to that. So if Jeff Jacobs and Travis Davis work well together, they just might run him down before the first pit stops.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially with the Mustangs. I mean, there's a couple different possibilities they could do tonight as far as pit strategy. It'll be interesting to see if they're going to go the full 17 laps on their fuel, come in and get a full tank, or if somebody's going to short pit it a little bit and try to make up some track time.
And Dave, I'm just curious, if you were in one of these cars out there, Dave, would you pit with majority? Would you stay out and try and run it dry, or would you short pit?
Well, with as long as this track is, I think my personal strategy I would pit when the leader does, try to get on the same pit strategy as him, and see if I can't work my way up through the field to get up there with him and maybe overtake him, just depending. I'd kind of have to see how the car was feeling, if the car was getting a little tight or loose on me, and that way I could decide if I would take tires or not. So, I mean, it would just all depend on how the car's handling on the long run.
That's well said, Dave, and I would actually do the exact same thing. And just like you had said there, being pitting when the leader does pit. Most drivers like to do the same thing. Therefore, when they do pit like that, they end up finding themselves pitting as a pack, and it actually benefits them more. You know, they don't mean to pit as a pack, but they end up doing it, and it benefits them due to the draft.
Yeah, most definitely. And now we're going to go back here to the leader of the Mazda class, the 22 of John D. Allen, as it looks like the 3 of Robert Harley's almost right on his bumper. I'm only showing that Dam is 7/10 ahead of him, as these guys are definitely catching him.
And look at that, Dave. That 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci looking at the left side of that 16 of Travis Schwenke. They're going to be side by side entering turn 1 as that 555 of Giuseppe outbreaks the 16 of Schwenke, as Schwenke is trying to get a better run exiting the turn to try and do the over and under, or the in and out. Travis Schwenke looking to the left side but backs down and goes back to behind the 555 of Giuseppe as he was setting up that turn. So David looks like he just let him by and is deciding to ride behind him. And now Travis Schwenke is trying his best to catch up to Robert R. Hartley, who in turn is trying to catch up to 22 of John D. Allen. And Dave, it does seem as though Hartley and Allen are staying pretty consistent. Looks like the 3 of Hartley is not going to let John D. Allen have over a second of a lead.
Yeah, they definitely want to keep it close. He's doing a good job of keeping him in his sights. Hopefully going to get up there and get in his rearview mirror and see if he can spook him a little bit to where he'll be able to get around him.
Absolutely, Dave, and I'm pretty sure that these drivers right now, they're just pretty much just riding together. You know, when we've interviewed them, when we interviewed them for the first race, they mentioned that pitting as a pack was a very good thing for them to do, so that was their intention, and they ended up doing that. At a track like this, I would suspect they would do the same thing they did at Daytona, Dave.
Yeah, most definitely. These guys are just kind of getting a feel for this track here, so I mean, anything's definitely possible, Sean.
And Dave, looking back behind the leader, that 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci side by side of the 3 of Robert R. Hartley, and makes a pass successfully on him, entering turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci there's definitely on a mission as he's battling. He got around the 3 of Robert Hartley and is now trying to track down that 22 of John D. Allen.
And Dave, that 3 of R. Hartley had a better run exiting the turn on the 555 of Giuseppe, but decided to back off because he was close enough to bump draft him and close enough to run him off the track as well. Triple 5 of Giuseppe Iannucci on the move, trying to hunt down the 22 of John D. Allen, who seems to have put away a little bit as they were battling.
Going back up here to the Mustang class, it looks like the 93 of Mike Dam is gaining on some of the slower cars of the Mazdas here as he's working through the turns. And I'm currently showing him he's got right about a 4-second lead over the 38 of Jeff Jacobs, who's pretty much got the 54 of Travis Davis still right on his bumper.
And Dave, looks like the first car of the slower class that is going to catch is the 17 of Daniel Kruger, who's trying to catch the 60 of Chris Thorman. That 3 of Robert R. Hartley going back to the MX-5 class is staying consistent within the draft range of the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci, exiting the turns to try and get the better run. But by the looks of it, he ended up swinging way wide and hit the dirt. And Dave, once you hit the dirt with a car like that, with a foot to the floor, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's basically on the road course, it's just like hitting the apron on the ovals. You know, it could definitely send you around real easy getting those tires off of the pavement.
Absolutely, and Dave, it looks like now the 22 of John D. Allen is actually a second ahead of the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci, so he's pretty much staying consistent just like Hartley was. And Dave, I'm watching Giuseppe Iannucci. Actually, let's ride shotgun with him as we watch him get ever closer to the 22. He's getting closer to him slowly but surely. It does seem as though he is gaining on him. Well, Dave, you can see how, by the way he's driving, he is really pushing it.
Yeah, most definitely. As you see him going through the chicane here, he's working that wheel left and right, working that throttle and the brakes, so he's definitely pushing hard, trying to get up on that back bumper of the 22 of John D. Allen.
He's going to go into the hard left-hander, hard braking point. It looks like our Hartley as well is staying consistent within his draft range as well. So Dave, as the Giuseppe Iannucci in 555 is pushing it, so is our Hartley. He's also pushing it, just trying to keep up with him. At the same time, Dave, it looks like John D. Allen picked up the pace and is trying his best to keep the 555 of Giuseppe behind him.
Yeah, he's got the lead out to about a 1.7 second lead there over the second place car, the 555 of Iannucci there. So he's definitely working hard as we're watching. Look like Iannucci there just got a little hard on the brakes, got a little sideways, but was able to save it and keep it going straight. But that also is going to let the 3 of Robert Hartley gain a little ground on him.
Oh, and Dave, what actually happened to Giuseppe there was that his right rear ended up kissing the grass, and that almost got ugly, and looks like he pushed it a little too hard exiting the turn and got loose, and the 3 of our Hartley is now all over him. Well, Dave, going back to the Mustang class, looks like the 54 of Travis Davis is now in second place. I don't remember correctly whether or not he was in second place. I believe he was in third place before, because last I checked, the 38 of Jeff Jacobs was in second place, but now it looks like Davis is the one who's in second place.
Yeah, it looks like the 54 Travis Davis was able to get around to 38 there. So now the 54 Travis Davis has got a real task ahead of him, trying to catch up to that 93 of Mike Dam. It doesn't look like we've had any lead changes tonight so far, and we are right now about an hour and 10 minutes left into this race.
Oh, and Dave, it's just exactly like the practice race we had at Le Mans with the Cadillacs. Mike Dam led every single lap, and looks like it's going to happen. It just might happen again tonight, Dave.
Well, I mean, anything can happen. Like I said, we still have an hour left in this race, but he's definitely doing a real good job at staying out in that lead there. But as we said, it looks like the 54 of Travis Davis is starting to close in on him a little bit here, as they're making up a little bit of ground on him.
And Dave, the 13 of Tyler Shiflett as well, is also trying to stay consistent behind the 38 of Jeff Jacobs, who in turn is pushing it to try and catch Travis. And Dave, going back to the Mazda class, in the street tuner class actually, we have the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci, who went from second place to fourth place. Looks like he might have gone loose or something might have happened, but we missed that, so he ended up losing a spot to the 3 of Hartley and the 16 of Schwenke.
Yeah, it looks like the 16 there, Schwenke's right on the back bumper of the 3 of Hartley there, as they're going to push and try to make up some ground there on the 22 of John D. Allen, who's having a wonderful race tonight, as he is definitely staying out front and hitting all his points and running a great race.
And David, does seem as though both the 93 of Mike Dam and the 22 of John D. Allen are having very steady leads. At the same time, that's helping them take it easy, and the easier they take it, the more consistent they end up staying.
Oh, for sure, Sean. I can definitely see that. It's not like oval where you can just kind of hold that throttle down and pin it and go wide open, but these drivers have definitely got a challenge ahead of them, that's for sure.
Oh, and look at that, Dave. Looks like that 16 of Travis Schwenke was losing the 3 of R. Hartley. Maybe R. Hartley upped his game, or maybe the 16 of Schwenke ended up becoming slower. Giuseppe Iannucci as well is in draft range, but he's not that close. So therefore, the draft is he's getting the effect of the draft, but at the same time, he's not getting as good of the effect as compared to the drivers who are closer.
Yeah, most definitely. Here as we're coming up on the first 30 minutes of this race, these drivers are starting to push it a little bit more as we're seeing some of these cars kind of coming in hard into these turns and getting a little squirrelier coming out on the exit. So these drivers are kind of picking up their pace a little bit here, as we should be getting close to the first pit stop.
And Dave, look at that, going back up front to the Mustangs in the Grand Sport class. That 54 of Travis Davis has gone from 5 seconds behind the 93 of Mike Dam to 3 seconds.
Yeah, and also looking here, it looks like the 38 of Jeff Jacobs here is going to go ahead on lap 13, come in and get his first pit stop of the night. So it looks like right now he's about the only one, the first one to come in for these pit stops. So it'll be interesting to see how this is going to play out.
Looks like he's actually now rolling out as we speak, Dave. And he was on the pits for quite a long time, Dave. Do you know how long it took him to pit?
His pit stop was right about 17 and a half seconds, so he probably took 4 tires and a full tank of fuel.
Oh, yeah, could have been. And now Dave looks like he's going to have... I'm sure he won't have to worry much about losing time, because now if he's on newer tires, he's going to end up being faster, and he's going to end up making up time on those drivers who are going to stay out and try and run it dry.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting on a race like this. It's interesting to see these pit strategies work out here. So it'll be interesting to see if any of the top guys here is going to follow the lead and go ahead and come down pit road there, since the 38 of Jacobs has already made his way down pit road.
And Dave, we had mentioned that the Mustangs can go about 17 laps on a tank. And Dave, it looks like the 38 of Jacobs ended up pitting end of lap 12. So I guess that's a short pit.
Yeah, and it looks like the 13 of Tyler Shiffett's going to follow the lead of 38 Jacobs as he's going to make his way down pit road. I'm currently showing Mike Dam's got about 14 laps on his tires. So he may be going and just using all his fuel and trying to come in as soon as he can, and after he burns all his fuel.
And Dave, we're going to see how that affects him. Actually, towards the end of the race, we're going to compare how the race is going for the drivers who short pitted, namely the 13 of Shiflett and the 38 of Jacobs, and we're going to compare it to the drivers who are going to stay out the longest. And Mike Dam is still currently in the lead, as the 54 of Travis Davis is still 3 seconds behind him. It looks like Davis lost about 0.2 seconds on Dam. And Dave, look at that, going back to the Mazdas. Looks like that 3 of Robert R. Hartley has actually shortened that lead, or has ran down the 22 of John D. Allen, and is now really close to his draft.
Yeah, I'm showing they're currently about 13 laps on their tires, and with the Mazdas, they could do about 18 laps on a tank. So it looks like these guys are going to battle it out until their tanks are dry. and then come down for their first pit stop of the night.
Almost definitely, and we're gonna actually see whether or not they pit as a pack or whether or not they end up pitting individually, just like we had seen the 38 of Jacobs do in the Mustang and the 13 of Shiflett.
Well, it looks like we missed it there, Sean, but it looks like the 63 of Brian Cartier has only got 3 laps on his tires. So about 3 laps ago, he came down for his pit stop, which would have been right about lap 10 for the Mazdas.
Oh, and look at that, Dave. Brian Cartier is suffering from some rear end damage. I just hope that won't affect him on the straightaways as he gets loose into the turn but manages to save it due to how much room he had. So that was a great job by him. But Dave, that damage just might slow him down in the straights.
Yeah, I wonder how he got that rear end damage. I mean, he might have been rear-ended coming into a turn. So there may be a car out there with some heavy front end damage, but it definitely, at least he's able to get back out on the track there and get this car going and try to save all the positions he can.
We're definitely going to keep an eye on and see if anybody's suffering from some front end damage. And Dave, looks like the 14 of Stephen Thomas, currently in 4th place, is really, really close to the 37 of Matthew Catilla. And by the looks of it, Dave, Matthew Catilla is feeling the pressure.
Yeah, he's right on that bumper. He's doing a good job there, staying in his rearview mirror, using that draft, as you said, as they come into a hard left-hand turn there. So he's doing a good job at staying in that rearview mirror of him.
And then also watching that 54 of Travis Davis, I'm looking at the board right now. It looks like he gained about 0.3 seconds. 0.3 seconds on the 93 of Mike Dam. So he narrowed that lead down from 3.8 seconds to about from 3.8 seconds to about 3.3.
Yeah, these drivers are pushing hard here, as it looks like our current leaders are on lap 15. So they got just about another 2 laps of fuel left in their cars. So these Mustangs that have not pitted already should be making their way down pit road here shortly.
And Dave, I'm watching the lap times, or the last lap times of the 93 of Mike Dam, our current race leader in the Ford Mustang. It seems as though he's been about 2 seconds slower than his lap time. So Dave, I'm sure maybe it was because of the lapped cars he was trying to get around, or maybe even the tire wear.
Yeah, definitely. These guys are running really fast here, so tire wear could definitely play a major role in that.
And Dave, going further back on the track, we have that 42 of Brandon Whitworth, who was bump drafting the 8 of Pascal Iannucci, who's right in front of him into the turns. But it looks like he's going to end up backing off, but he's still going to stay close enough to make his presence known.
Yeah, taking a look there, it looks like there's some front damage there on Iannucci's car on the far left side there. So looks like maybe he got into a little incident there, running into the back end of another car. Looks like we have a car there running through the grass there in front of the 8 of Iannucci.
That's going to be the 37 of Matthew Catilla. Looks like just pretty much riding the grass, trying to make sure everybody gets around him safely. And he does seem to be suffering from some front end damage, but it's not too bad actually. So it looks like he just might have brushed somebody. And Dave, the 93 Mike Dam is going down pit road for his first pit stop of the night. End of lap 16.
He's going to be followed by the 54 of Travis Davis, who's going to come into pit road right behind him. So that could give a chance of a new race leader here. We'll definitely keep an eye on this and see what happens.
And they also going back to the MX-5s. Looks like the 22 of John D. Allen also has led every single lap at this point. And we have not had any race leads, or any lead changes in that class either. and R. Hartley doesn't seem to be interested in getting around the 22 of Allen, so they just might be working together until the pit stops.
Yeah, most definitely, as we are now under 60 minutes to go here. Right exactly about 57 and a half minutes left in this race. So it'll definitely be interesting to see these pit stops coming up for these Mazdas to see if this is going to mix the field up a little bit.
Absolutely, Dave. And looks like the 16 of Travis Schwenke as well was bump drafting the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci, who got around him into the turns. So now it looks like Giuseppe is trying to regroup after making his mistake. That cost him 2 spots, and he's now trying to get back up to the front.
Yeah, that's gonna he's still gonna have Giuseppe Iannucci there, taking over that 3rd position there, but he's still a little ways there behind the 3 of Robert Hartley.
And ladies and gentlemen, in the booth with us, we have Kevin C. Ford. You got a copy there, bud?
I sure do. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good, and how are you?
Oh, doing wonderful, wonderful. Really sucked into this fantastic race we have going on here.
We're having a ball up here, and I'm sure the viewers are enjoying it. You know, we're having so many battles out there. These drivers actually working together because green flag pit stops are kicking in.
Yeah, they sure are. You'll notice that that Mike Dam has stretched out that GS lead, and Tyler Shiflett and Travis Davis are running bumper to bumper. We just heard Travis come across the radio giving a hint to Tyler, I'm here, get that thing rolling. So he's putting the pressure on him.
Oh, absolutely. And Dave, let's focus on that 54 of Travis Davis. Let's ride shotgun with him and see how close he gets to the 13 of Tyler Shiflett, because he seems to be real close to him and won't let him go.
Now, you'll notice here coming down into these final 2 turns, 17 and 18, very critical to get a good exit here. You'll notice Travis is real smooth unwinding that wheel on exit, getting that power down. He will have some draft down this straightaway, and let's see if he's able to get close enough to make that move to the inside into 1. They're coming into Tregardo here, turns 2, 3, and 4. Travis a little tight on the brakes there, trying to get that run off of 4 here. Coming out of Tamburello, got the move. It looks like he may be able to get inside position here. He is going to outbrake him. He's going to use that ST car as a pick. What a great job. That's textbook overtake right there. Hold on to her, Travis.
That was definitely a great pass by him, and he ended up getting loose due to how much speed he was carrying, or a change in his line. But then Tyler Shiflett in the 13. Let's actually focus on Tyler now and see if he's going to actually attempt to catch up to TD.
Coming into Piratella here. Very fast left-hander, double left-hander. Critical to get down to that inside left here as they come down into Minerale. Q Minerale is a very technical turn. That line that Tyler took right there was right on the money.
And it looks like he did end up gaining some time on him, as these guys are now coming up to a very, very sharp turn at right and left-hander.
Yeah, that's Variante Alla there. That is a very tough turn to hit that right. I've caught my left front wheel too much on that left curb too many times, Sean.
I could only imagine. Yeah, I've put down some lap times on this track with the GT3 cars, and in that turn I kept cutting the course somehow.
Yeah, it's a very fine line there to stay out of that incident range. All right, we noticed Travis Davis got a slowdown coming off that last corner, meaning he went too wide into a penalty box area, as we consider it here on iRacing. They consider that him trying to get a gain by going too wide. So they cause the drivers to slow down. They have a countdown timer that comes up on their screen, and they have to wait till those 2 seconds wind down before they can get back into throttle. That's going to give Tyler Shiflett a pretty good advantage here over Travis. I'm sure Travis is very unhappy with himself.
It gives Shiflett an advantage, so it gives the 13 an advantage as well. Actually, 38, sorry, of Jeff Jacobs, who caught up to him but could not make the pass on him.
Yeah, Jeff's having a really good run tonight, Sean. This track has really suited him well. He was in the Endurance Continental race on Saturday this past weekend. Had a good finish there. This is a track that really fits his driving style.
And Kevin, we did notice that he ended up actually being the first car to pit. He pitted on end of lap 12, technically lap 13, beginning of 13, end of lap 12. So that told us he had a short pit, and his pit stop time was about 17 seconds. So, and we didn't notice whether or not he took 4 tires or 2 tires or none.
Well, that's an interesting thing here at Imola. This track being primarily a left-hand turn counterclockwise course, you'll see some of the drivers just taking outside or what would be right side tires at this course, and they'll short pit to spread out their pit strategy so that they're not running the tires too long and losing too much gap time to the driver in front of them. They'll short pit so that they've constantly got fresh tires throughout the race, especially with an endurance race. But taking those 2 right sides, I just don't know if it's going to be that much of an advantage to do that here.
And Kevin, this track seems to have a lot of straightaways compared to Brands Hatch and the other tracks that we've raced in the past. So how crucial would it be? Do you think it's more beneficial to pit in a pack or just individually?
Absolutely in a pack. One reason being that there's a lot of draft opportunity here. Some of the straightaways are a little bit shorter, obviously, than the long front stretch that we have here. We just noticed Jeff Jacobs had an issue coming through 2, 3, and 4 there. He's lost a little bit of time, unfortunately for him. But in any case, it is a track where pitting with the other drivers is really crucial, especially if those leaders are within a couple car lengths of each other. My bet would that they would go in together and stay on that same tire change sequence.
That definitely makes a lot of sense. And Dave, also focus on that 22 of John D. Allen. I've noticed that he lost the race lead to the 64 of David Payton. Does that mean that John D. Allen pitted while the 64 of Payton did not?
Yeah, it looks like the 22 of John D. Allen, the 3 of Robert Hartley, the 16 of Travis Swanky, and the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci all pitted, and has allowed the 64 of David Payton to take the lead as he is on 19 laps on his tires. So he's kind of pushing it a little more as we got word that these cars could do about 18 laps on a tank of fuel. So he may be pushing his fuel strategy here.
Well, David, we see Payton going into the pits now. It'll be interesting to see where this plays out when he exits, what position he'll land in.
Let's focus on that 64 of David Payton, who's currently on pit road as we speak.
John Allen just passed him on the front straightaway. It's going to be critical for David to get out of this pit box as quick as he can.
And Kevin, just like you had mentioned about the pit stops, you had mentioned that taking right sides might not be as effective as taking left sides, because now by the looks of it, the 64 of Payton, who's rolling off pit road, took left sides only and a splash of gas.
Yep, so he's working a little bit different strategy, and it could be that he wants that quick turn in on the entry to some of these corners, especially up in Tulsa where that hairpin is. There's a lot of rotation that has to take place on that inside camber of the front left wheel, so he's going to want fresh tires probably to get that cut and turn in to get that speed. These Mazdas, as we refer to them as the ST class in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, they require a lot of momentum to stay high, to keep those RPMs up on that motor, and if you let that bog down, it will kill you. And if you're having trouble getting that rotation on entry and you just can't quite keep that momentum up on the car, going with left side tires will definitely help that, and that could be the trick for David to get him up a few more positions here tonight.
Well, looking here, Kevin, at my stats, it looks like David Payton had a pretty long pit stop, as his pit stop showing is 27.2 seconds compared to John D. Allen. When he pitted, he only had an 18.9 second pit stop.
Well, Dave, I was just looking back at that, it appeared that there was maybe a problem with the jack when the car dropped. It didn't look like he was able to get out of the box right away. Could have been a loose lug nut. We're not sure what caused that, but David does have a little more time to make up now. He is going to have to put this thing on the edge of the track to get that time made back.
And Dave, we were talking about the lead changes tonight. So we basically have one lead change in the ST class, or the Street Tuner class with MX-5s. And we do have one lead change as well. We had a lead change. The 14 of Stephen Thomas at one point got around the 93 of Mike Dam when he pitted in. So it looks like we've had at least one lead change in both classes.
Yeah, going back up here looking at the 93 of Mike Dam, it looks like he's got a pretty good lead over the second place, the 13 of Tyler Shiflett. As I'm showing him, he's right about 9.5 seconds there ahead of Tyler Shiflett.
And Kevin, before the green flag pit stops, Mike Dam had a lead of about 3 seconds, the 54 of Travis Davis. But now after the pit stops, that lead has gone from 3 seconds to 9.
Yeah, he has opened it up, absolutely. He's running a good, smooth race, had a good stop. That's really critical in these endurance races, this 90-minute race tonight. The drivers in both classes of cars, and the Mazda and Mustang FR500, will have to pit twice during this race, which is not the standard strategy that we have at our typical 60-minute length races. So a little more strategy in tonight's race, certainly not only with pit strategy, but with driving style, how they're utilizing their tire wear, being mindful of that out there on the tracks. There's a lot of chess match that goes into play here, especially here at Imola.
And Kevin, also remind us about how crucial or critical it's going to be to fight the fatigue.
That does come into play, Sean. When you get into that last pit stop and that window's closing, and you know you've got to come down pit road, you've got that water bottle in your hand already because you're about worn out by then, and you know you've got another 12 to 14 minutes to go, and you're battling for position. Fatigue will certainly come in after that second pit stop.
And Kevin, I would only imagine that these drivers are going to have some swollen fingers and toes due to all the aggressive driving that they had to do to get around the track and beat their opponents.
Absolutely, Sean. One thing that's different in road racing at this level versus oval racing is there's not as many cautions over here, certainly full course cautions. You don't see that too often, and certainly in our Ricmotech Sports Car Series. But these drivers are hammering those shifters. They're working those pedals. Some of them use heel-toe technique. Some of them are using left foot braking. But I will tell you, between the handwork and the footwork, it's a very busy night around this course.
And Kevin, I'm glad you mentioned that. And I've always wondered, I'm very curious about whether or not using, like for example, their aids that people use on iRacing, like auto clutch and auto shift. Do you think that's is it gonna match the drivers who heel and toe or use just a manual clutch?
Typically, we have found that the auto clutch and auto blip configurations are not quite as responsive. Overall, from exit of a corner to entry to the next corner, you'll probably find that that the driver that heel toes on that entry is going to be able to enter that corner a little more efficiently because he's able to trail brake and work the throttle with his heel at the same time. So it provides a different inertia on the car as it's coming into that entry, keeps the RPMs up a little bit better, whereas with auto clutch you're downshifting, there's a little more of a drag that happens on the motor, which in turn obviously affects the momentum of the car and the braking capability with the car. So there's little nuances in there that can win you back a couple of tenths with doing everything manually.
Oh, that does make a lot of sense there. So basically there is a very huge difference. So there is a difference in using manual versus the automatic assist that are given on iRacing. And I'm sure most of these drivers are actually using the manual. Is that correct?
I would say that probably 98% of them in this series are running manual. They're doing everything on a manual basis, either left foot brake technique or heel toe braking, and it's a lot of finesse. And this series for this class of cars that you guys are watching tonight, they're some of the best in the world on iRacing in this series. So it's the cream of the crop, and I'm quite proud of all the drivers that we have here. And again, I want to send a big thank you out to Frank at Ricmotech for their support of the series, and also TD Street Service. We appreciate their support.
Yeah, saying that you have some of the best drivers, but you're also sponsored by, as you said, Ricmotech, is they have some of the highest performance sim racing equipment. So you can definitely see why these drivers are so good with a sponsor with such great equipment as the Ricmotech high performance racing equipment that they have.
Absolutely, Dave. You said it right. It's a great alignment and a great marriage between the two, and it's been a wonderful season so far, and really great, exciting races. And if we watch Tyler Shiflett getting a loose, they are coming out of 12 and 13 there.
And Kevin, it does seem as though the 54 of Travis Davis has narrowed down the lead of the 93 of Mike Dam from 9 seconds to about 8.7 now.
Yeah, he sure has, absolutely. If we can take a jump over into the number 3 car in the ST division, Robert Hartley, he's trying to make up ground here on John Allen, and he's got quite a battle on his hands here. I think John is feeling the pressure.
Yeah, I've said before, even in oval, trying to not race from your rearview mirror, but I can imagine how these nerve-wracking it can be for these guys to seeing a guy making a run there coming up in his rearview mirror. So it's got to be hard for them not to drive from that rearview mirror.
Absolutely. The thing that's interesting about road course racing is you spend most of your mental attention on racing the track, because every nuance, every entry, every lift of the throttle, every trail brake has a huge effect on every corner. A half a tenth here becomes a second over 19 corners to the end of the lap. So you're racing the track more in road course racing than you are the other drivers. However, when you have a situation like John Allen's facing here, where Robert Hartley is closed up on him, and they're approaching, the midway point of the race here, Robert's trying to get as much of a draft on John, and probably is going to pace him here. So John is now doing a little bit of that rear view mirror, just looking at where Robert's positioning his car on entry, trying to figure out where Robert may try to make a move on him at some point. So now he's got two things to concern with. He's driving all the nuances of this 18-corner track and trying to judge where that car is behind him and if he needs to be concerned about him yet.
Yeah, we're going to take a ride here in the cockpit of the 22 of John D. Allen as we look at that mirror, and you can see the 3 of Robert Hartley there. So it's definitely, as you said, it's definitely got to be nerve-wracking seeing him close up so much.
Absolutely, and these guys are pushing these cars to the limit, as you can see, certainly from these in-car shots. They're pushing these things to the limit. You'll notice that there's what's called track in, track out on some of these corners. You'll notice the drivers use up every inch of the track on exit. The reason they take those wide entries is that they can keep that pedal further to the floor by unwinding that wheel and taking the load off the front end. So that gives you a lot more momentum on the exit, as we see John go right out to the dirt there, coming out of turn 18.
And Kevin, you had mentioned, you talked about the draft, about how Robert Hartley in the number 3 is depending on that draft to try and catch up to John D. Allen. But then also remind us about how the draft, basically what draft responsibilities comes with. So if you have draft, what responsibilities do you have that develop, speaking of breaking points and apexes?
Absolutely. You think that it's a situation where I've got the draft, it's just going to put me right up behind this guy and all is well. The surprise that you have is as you come into corner entry from a long straightaway like we have here at Lmola is a lot of speed. And when you come into a brake zone, the driver in front of you starts braking. You have a blank pocket of air in front of your vehicle, and it's just going to draw you right into his bumper. So one thing the driver, that's the pursuant driver, has to consider is, am I going to brake at my normal brake point at 200 feet or the 100-foot marker, or do I need to back it up a little bit, knowing that I've got that draft pocket behind his car, because it will suck you right up to him before you can even react. We saw 2 GS cars get together earlier on in the race here, where one was tapped. They both went into a spin and were able to recover, but it happened in that exact same spot.
Absolutely, Kevin. So these drivers do have a great responsibility using that draft. So basically, the draft is good and all. It's very beneficial. At the same time, it has a lot of disadvantages to it.
Absolutely. Certainly for somebody like Robert Hartley right now, he's trying to stay with the leaders so that he has an opportunity to make a move at the end. The other thing he's considering is that there's one more pit stop yet, and he's not sure what that driver in front of him is going to do. Is he going to take 4? Is he going to take 2 tires? Do I have as much or more fuel left than the driver in front of me? So there's a lot of calculations that go into play, and it's what makes this series so exciting, because it's the drivers that are in here are very skilled. They've been sim racing for many years. We have several drivers in here that race in real life. So their situation awareness and their prowess out on the track is quite skilled and very exciting to watch.
And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to step away for a commercial break, for our first commercial break of the night. We have about 35 minutes remaining until the race ends. So get some popcorn and get some more drinks so you can be back for the second half of this race, for the second half or the second round of green flag pit stops. We'll be right back, and stay tuned.
Extreme Motorsports brings you the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you by Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment, and in part by TD's Tree Service. Live coverage coming your way right now on the All Pro Broadcasting Network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you by Ricmotech, your source for high-performance sim racing equipment. Please give them a check out at www.ricmotech.com. Also brought to you in part by TD's Tree Service. This is the Extreme Motorsports Rick Motec Sports Car Series.
And ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have enough popcorn for the end of the race. We have about 33 minutes remaining until the white flag flies, until the race is over. And from when we last left off, the 54 of Travis Davis in second place behind the 93 of Mike Dam was 8 seconds behind him, but has now narrowed it down to about 7 seconds. So he is catching him slowly but surely. And by the looks of it, the 93 of Mike Dam might be losing it due to how much he was pushing it early on. Or maybe the 54 of Davis just might be getting faster.
Yeah, it's hard to say, Sean. Travis is, I'm just watching him here while we were away on break. He's really picked up his pace. He's pushing the car right to the limit. And as we were talking earlier, it's so difficult to do that, to run a car right on the edge. If we can get inside his car here for just a moment, he's coming up into a couple critical corners here at a Q Minerale here in a second. I want to see how he takes this corner. He was very fast in the endurance race on Saturday here at Imola. He's got ST traffic in front of him. This is going to be very interesting to see how he manages this traffic. Made a nice clean pass there going into Morale. That's the nose down. It's a nice launch up. He did a beautiful job through there, but he's got his hands full. He's got traffic, and then he's got to get to Mike Dam, who's running a good pace as well.
He's now
Travis
catching up.
Davis is such a... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to say that he's catching up to some ST slower traffic again. The 80 of Derek Holland is his next victim, who's following the... Oh, looks like he makes contact and bumps that 80 of Derek Holland. And Kevin Earl comes back to what you had talked about earlier about all the braking points. And I guess he just forgot that he was in a faster car.
Yeah, it's one thing for our viewers to understand. The Mazdas do not have to move off their race line for the GS Mustangs. The way the rules work in this series and in the real life series that we mimic here is that the ST drivers maintain their race line. The GS cars have to find their way around them, and as we noticed going into that entry, Travis didn't quite get over to the left quite enough and tagged the rear end of Derek Holland's ST Mazda there. It sounds like Derek recovered fine, but a little miscue there on Travis's part. I'm sure it wasn't intentional. He's a very clean driver and one of our top drivers in the series.
Yeah, it looks after that contact there, the 54 of Travis Davis has went ahead and made his way down pit road there for his second pit stop of the night.
Yeah, it was probably a good opportunity for him to take advantage of that. He came out through that corner and got held up, so he figured it's a slow lap. He might as well get in and get the tires changed. Now he can run his pace for the rest of the race.
And Kevin, I was actually watching Travis Davis as he was pitting in after he made contact with the 80 of Derek. He had some front end damage due to it, but then when he went down pit road, you know, you guys you run a series without any resets, so he ended up going down pit road, and as soon as he went in there, they ended up beating it out, and it looks better now.
Well, that's good that he was able to get part of it fixed. I'm sure one of the crew jumped over and popped that section out. That will create some aerodynamic issues here at Imola with that long front stretch that they have. A lot of speed on that straightaway, so any hindrance with any fragments damaged on the nose of the vehicle will certainly create drag. So good that he was able to get that repaired quickly in the pits during the tire change, and hopefully he can make up some time here and close that gap to Mike.
And he's actually getting around the 18 of Brian D. Howard, who lets him by, and they make the pass successfully. So it was a great job and great communication by both drivers.
Absolutely. I'm looking over at the Mazda class right now. Now it looks like Mike Dam is on pit road. Mike Dam is on pit road. Let's see how close Travis Davis can get to him before he exits the pits.
Looks like Mike Dam is now exiting the pits.
Yep, and Travis Davis has now exited turn 18 out onto the front stretch here. Coming down through Variante Bassa. Approaching the start-finish line. And I'm sure Travis is hoping that he sees those brake lights, or he's going to have a lot of work to do ahead of him. Yep, Travis has got to be a little frustrated with himself. He really prides himself on running clean, running good, smooth laps. He had a great season last season. Comes into this season, has started off well. He's fighting for that championship again this season, which we expected to see. Mike Dam being the real hero here tonight, and the fact that this is his first season in the Mustang FR 500. Mike has run the Mazda ST series in the past with the Rick Motec Sports Car Series. Decided to move up. Their team went to the Mustang for this season, and he has done an incredible job.
Well, sitting here looking at Mike Dam, it looks like he's starting to catch up on some of the slower Mazdas there. So that might slow him down enough to where it'll give the 54 of Travis Davis a chance to get up to him and catch him.
Absolutely, Dave. Absolutely.
And speaking of him catching those the slower traffic of the ST class, we do realize that he has to change his line, and basically what that means is that the more he changes his line, the slower he becomes.
Yeah, absolutely. There's what's called a race line around any given track and any given series. There's the race line, and that's the most optimum line for speed around any road course. What happens when you get into situations where traffic plays a role, you have to change your judgment of braking, go 2x2 around a corner next to another vehicle. You've got to change your throttle point, your exit point. All of that comes into play, and you got to know how the vehicle's going to behave in those situations. And that's why these drivers that you're seeing here tonight are so experienced with the handling of these cars, and that's why they're able to manipulate them around these courses the way they do, and as close to some of the other competitors as they do.
We're sitting here looking at my stats there, Kevin. It looks like in the Mustang class, we actually have a new leader, the 14 of Stephen Thomas.
Has he pitted yet, Dave?
No. I'm currently showing he's got about 14 laps on his tires, so he has not pitted yet. So it looks like he might have stayed out just to get them bonus points for leading.
Absolutely, and that is a big thing that a lot of these drivers will put into their strategy at certain tracks. When they know that they can run a little longer, the way they have their car set up and balanced, that they can get a longer run on the tires. So all that comes into play, and that was a great point, Dave. It was an opportunity for him to get some bonus points for the championship by leading a lap.
And look at that, Dave. Looks like we have two lead changes, just like you guys had pointed out. That 14 of Thomas led a lap again, and the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci is being shown as our new race leader for the street tuner class.
Yeah, Giuseppe Iannucci, another fantastic driver, a guy that's had great success on iRacing in the official series. He's admired by many of the ST drivers out there on the circuit. And in our Rick Motec Sports Car Series, he's been a great advocate for the series on and off the track. And he's very, very skilled, and certainly skilled at that car that he drives.
And trouble on the track, that 38 of Jeff Jacobs got loose in the right left-hander, but was able to save it. He got onto the brakes immediately before he could get close enough to hit that wall.
Well, lucky that he did not hit the wall. It's good to see him go on again, and he's sitting in 5th position right now. Jeff was running so well here over the weekend. He had a good practice today. He was telling me that he was looking forward to the race tonight. He felt strong here, felt like they had the car that could run in the top 3. So it's a shame to see him back in P5, and I'm sure he's a little stressed himself trying to figure out how he can make up some positions here.
Well, going back here, looking at my stats there, Kevin, it looks like the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci also has not pitted, even though the 22 of John D. Allen in 2nd place and the 3 of Robert Hartley in 3rd place have already pitted.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's going to mix things up quite a bit. Do we have a gap time on Giuseppe to the 2 guys behind him?
I'm currently showing right about 40 seconds, so but it's definitely closing in a hurry, as it looks like the 64 of David Payton, the 22 of John D. Allen, and the 3 of Robert Hartley are definitely gaining on him in a hurry.
Yeah, I would think that an opportunity for Giuseppe would be to pit on this lap, get those fresh tires, so that he can certainly get back out onto the course right behind those guys, so that he can utilize that draft. If he waits too long on worn tires and allows them to close in, by the time he gets out of his pit box and gets back out on track, he'll have lost that draft.
And Kevin, I'm also looking at the 22 of John D. Allen right now. When I watched him when he was down pit road, he ended up taking right sides only and a splash of gas. Do you think that was a good strategy compared to left sides?
I think it was. John typically will change those outside tires. It really fits his driving style and the way he has his car set up. Remember that this is an open series. All these drivers have the ability to adjust camber, toe, springs. There's quite a bit that they can do to this vehicle. Certainly not as much as a GT3 road racing vehicle like in the Blancpain series, but there is quite a bit that they can do to affect the handling of this car. John has always been known for his ability to get those cars dialed in, to get the best speed out of them, and I trust John's employment of the 2 tires on the right.
Well, looking here, Kevin, it looks like the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci did not pit this lap.
That's interesting. I'm surprised that if he's watching his gap time and if he sees them closing, and he may not realize the exact time that he's going to need on pit road. This will be an interesting chess match to see how this plays out, Dave.
And also the 14 of Stephen Thomas as well seems to be also just staying out, trying to pretty much run it dry at this point. At the same time, it looks like the 93 of Mike Dam gained about 2 seconds on him, because last I checked, he was 17 seconds in the lead, but now is about 15.
So he is making some ground on him. This will be interesting to see the time that we have left, which is about 21 minutes. It's going to be very close to see if Travis, as we all know him on the track, is TD. If TD can make up that much time with what we have left in the race. Again, this is a timed race, folks. It's a 90-minute race. It's our first endurance race of the season here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. We're in round 4 of 12 races that will be running for our final season of 2016.
And also going down pit road, we have that 14 of Stephen Thomas pitting in as we speak. Hasn't yet gone into his pit stall yet, so he is going to be pitting in. He is in his pit stall as we speak right now, but then the 93 of Mike Dam just got around him actually.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to happen. Stephen Thomas is a fantastic driver. I think he's had a little bit of bad luck tonight, running pace a little bit slower than typical for him. But it's good to see him out there and trying to get those points for the leading a lap. He's using his strategy well. It looks like he had a pretty decent stop there as he's making his exit out of pit road at this time.
Yeah, I'm showing he had about an 18.4 second pit stop there, so that was definitely a fast pit stop for him.
Yeah, he almost had to do that. You will see some drivers using that strategy that maybe have faltered or had a few mistakes during the race here, and we're down inside the last 30-minute window of this endurance race. These guys will try and get in and out of that pit stop with the least amount of fuel required and the least amount of tires necessary.
We're going back here to the Mazda, Kevin. It looks like the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci did not pit again, but he's holding steady as I'm showing. He's got right about a 32 second lead over the 22 of John D. Allen.
I would say, Dave, that is probably his strategy. He's watching that gap time, and if he's able to maintain that gap time, then he'll run those tires as long as he can. I would be surprised if he didn't even take tires, but just got a splash of fuel.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. As I'm showing, he's currently got about 16 laps on those tires, so he should be getting close to end of his fuel run here.
And Kevin, I'm actually studying the 555 of Iannucci and the 22 of John D. Allen. both of them seem to be having around the same lap times. For instance, 555 of Iannucci had a 2-minute 04.237 lap time, while Allen had a 204.204. So those are really, really close lap times, and by the looks of it, they're pretty much staying consistent.
Absolutely, and that's critical for Giuseppe right now in the 555 car. If he can maintain that pace and keep that gap where it's at, and run that fuel down, that just shortens his pit stop. So in other words, when he gets into that pit box, if he only has to take 2.3 or 2.8 gallons of fuel versus 3.2 because he ran the tires longer and was able to maintain gap, he can get in and out of that pit stall quicker and have the advantage on John Allen when he comes up to come around him at pit exit. Quite a strategy here on ST class tonight.
And Kevin, do you think towards the end of the race, usually in the past races that we've had, towards the end of the race, we noticed that the leaders end up getting around the ST class while on the white flag?
That is true, and that can happen. It depends on the course. This being a very long 3-mile spread out road course here, it's very likely that the GS class may cross the line and get the white flag, and it may be almost a whole another lap before the ST cars get their white flag. In some cases, the GS class may pass the leader for the white flag going to the finish line, and their race ends when they come around the next time. They won't get that white flag.
That does make a lot of sense. So it just depends on where on the track they end up finding each other.
Absolutely. Yep. Typically, the faster class car dictates when that white flag is thrown. And for the viewers out there, if the leader in the ST Mazda class gets passed going to the white flag before the finish line, then the GS class will be on their white flag lap, and so will the entire ST class. Whereas if the ST leader was in front of him at the line, they would actually get a full extra lap over the GS class.
Now, I'm also focused on that 3 of Robert R. Hartley, who seems to be in the draft range of John D. Allen and has been getting ever closer to him ever since the green flag pit stops, as that 18 of Brian D. Howard makes the pass on him and is now attempting to get around the 22 of John D. Allen.
What a battle happening right there in that turn. That was some very patient driving by all those drivers.
And Kevin, I'm studying the when I see the Mazdas and the Mustangs in the same turn, I keep studying them, and I realize or notice that those Mazdas end up being pretty much bump drafting or pushing the Mustangs through the turns, but then after the turns, the Mustangs just pretty much fly away.
Absolutely, Sean. The ST cars, the Mazdas, actually have a faster, on average, turn entry, center rotation, or center roll as we refer to it, and exit. Those cars are a little more nimble. They're much lighter than the Mustang, so they're able to get through those corners, a little more horsepower, and have a little more speed through center and exit. So it's interesting. That's why you won't see a lot of the GS cars trying to make a pass on the inside of an ST vehicle going into a corner unless they know that they can get alongside of them at the point of brake zone. That's one of the rules in the Rick Motec Sports Car Series, is that we don't want to see drivers in opposite classes making moves like that on the ST class, what we would refer to in a single class series as dive bombing the other driver, meaning the driver has hit his brake entry, he swung out to make his entry, and the other driver stayed in the throttle and came down and door slammed the other car. So when a faster vehicle like the Mustang is trying to overtake one of the slower Mazda class cars, then it's better for them to be patient, tuck in behind them, because they're actually going to go through the next corner faster and be able to get around them on the next straightaway.
And Kevin, also speaking of all these, the dooring that might happen, or the miscommunication, or the errors that might happen through the turns while the faster GS class or Grand Sport Mustang is trying to get around the MX-5 in the Street Tuner class. Tell us, what's considered a dive bomb?
Well, a dive bomb starts at the point that the ST vehicle entering the corner has reached brake zone. And brake zone meaning the first point that you apply the brakes. Let's say it's at the 50 or the 100-foot marker. We'll say the 100-foot marker. The GS Grand Sport Mustang needs to have a side-by-side position at that point of brake entry. That makes it legal for them to now take the corner and make the overtake on entry. The reason a lot of the drivers won't do that is because they know that the corner they're approaching, that ST car is probably going to be a little bit quicker through that corner. So they'll just go ahead and tuck in behind, as we saw Brian Howard do there a few minutes ago. They'll just ride behind them through the corner, knowing they'll get a quicker exit and be able to pass them on the next straightaway. Where it becomes a dive bomb is when the GS car has not positioned himself side by side at brake entry and has stayed in the throttle, being behind the Mazda now. The Mazda's hit brake entry, is starting his arc into the corner, and the Mustang decides to stay in the throttle longer and just try to power his way into the entry and push the Mazda wide. And it usually, in most cases, ends up in a contact between the two drivers, and in a lot of cases penalties are assessed.
And Kevin, what I'm picking up right now from you is that what it takes for them to get around the slower class cars successfully is patience. You know, just like they say, patience pays.
Absolutely, because not only are they having to make those maneuvers, you can bet that the guy in front of you, the guy behind you, is going to have to deal with the same traffic. So there really is no advantage to taking a risk like that of taking another driver out, and that's something that we're pretty stringent about here with the series.
Going back here to the Mustang class, it looks like the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci is going to come down to his pit road here, as we're going to keep an eye on the 22 of John D. Allen to see if he's going to be able to close that gap and overtake him while he's in the pit lane.
Dave, this will be interesting. I'm looking at John Allen's vehicle now. He's coming out of turn 18 and heading down to Variante Bassa, the front straight.
555 Giuseppe Iannucci as well, rolling off pit road as we speak.
John D. Allen in the car 22 has now passed pit exit, and it looks to me like he's got the advantage over Giuseppe Iannucci. Giuseppe is now leaving pit road.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Giuseppe will be able to catch back up to him, considering that he's got right about fresher tires, as it looks like the 22 of John D. Allen's got about 8 laps on his tires.
Yeah, that will make a big difference. Giuseppe should certainly have at least a couple of tenths that he could close up per lap. I just wonder if it was a little too late for Giuseppe to pit at that point. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he extended his pit a little longer. It looked like he was working on lap 19 there when he came into pit road.
Yeah, this is quite the chess match between these two drivers. They've been battling all season. Last season, those two guys, it seemed like every race, it came down to pit strategy or position on the track near the end of the race.
Going back up there to the Mustangs, it looks like the 54 of Travis Davis has actually really gained some ground on the 93 of Mike Dam. As I show that he's right about 3 to 4 seconds behind the 93 of Mike Dam.
And Kevin, I've been also watching the 3 of R. Hartley. He has been a very strong, powerful player tonight. We've seen him, you know, he's the driver who's been practicing the most patience tonight. We've noticed that he's pretty much been behind John D. Allen all night long tonight. So I'm not sure if that's his strategy or whether or not he's just a little bit slower than John.
I think Robert is just pacing himself. He doesn't want to make a move too early, and he doesn't want to wait too late. And that's a driver's decision based on how you're able to position yourself to the car in front of you. At this point right here, I'd say he just barely is picking up some draft from John. It should help him get a little bit closer. The question is, can he gain any time on the extensive road course section of this track here?
Yeah, I'm showing that Robert R. Hartley's only about 5/10 there behind the 22 of John D. Allen, so he's definitely trying to use that draft to his advantage.
Yep, well, you notice there that he was able to close right up on John Allen. He did use that draft pocket in the brake zone. It got him right up to the back of John Allen. And, folks, I think we are going to have a very exciting finish to this ST battle here tonight in our Ricmotech Sim 90 at Imola, Italy.
Yeah, as we are now almost 8.5 minutes left of this race, so these drivers are, it's as we say on the oval side, it's time to go, to put that pedal down and start making your moves.
Absolutely, Dave.
And Kevin, speaking of go time, just like Dave had touched on, please tell us. We've always wondered. Oh, the 22 of John D. Allen gets loose into the turn and is gonna hit that wall and bounce off that wall, but he's gonna be able to get back up onto the track, but it's gonna lose a lot of time in the process.
That's a real shame, and that's where that pressure comes in. These drivers are running these cars right on the edge, and this happens. It's happened to me out here. It just takes the slightest mistake on exit for that back end to get loose. It just shows how much they are pushing these vehicles to get every second out of these laps.
Yeah,
and as we're noticing here, John Allen is about to get overtaken by Giuseppe Iannucci.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some heavy left side damage there on that 22 of John D. Allen as they're side by side coming into the turn there. But the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci is going to be able to get around him.
It does. It looks like coming out of 18 here, Giuseppe is going to lay this thing out and try and get as much of a run as he can. Try and make up some time on Robert Hartley.
And Kevin, just like you had mentioned, these drivers are pushing it. John D. Allen was pushing it to the max because he started finally feeling the pressure from the 3 of R. Hartley. But then I went back to look at the replay. It was also a matter of things that caused him to get loose. Basically, he pushed it too hard and pushed it to a point where he ended up missing his apex and ended up touching a patch of grass, which, you know what happened after that?
Absolutely. These cars, they're working that throttle so heavily on those exits that if that right wheel, I call it dances off into the grass just a slight bit, you can imagine the torque on that wheel as it clips that loose surface. It just spins that vehicle right around.
Going back here to the Mustang, it looks like the 38 of Jeff Jacobs, even after making that slight mistake there, has been able to work his way back up into third place there in the Mustang class.
Yep, he's got Tyler Shiflett hunting him down, and Tyler is another one of the great drivers in this series here. Had some huge success early on with our series. He won 3 championships in a row. Very skilled driver, a lot of talent behind that wheel of the number 13 car as he tries to close in on Jeff Jacobs in the 38.
Well, Dave, I'm also focused on that 22 of John D. Allen, just riding solo. He is in third place, still behind the 555 Giuseppe Iannucci, but fourth place is the 64 of David Payton, who seems to be a lap behind the third place driver John D. Allen. And ever since John made contact with that wall, his turning ability has gone down a lot, and he seems to be overdriving it and missing those apexes and pretty much driving off the track most of the time.
Yeah, and Sean, and looking here at the GS class, Mike Dam, where we're sitting here with just a few minutes remaining in this 90-minute race, Mike Dam has got him a nice lead on Travis Davis, although Travis is chipping away at it lap after lap. Jeff Jacobs has managed to keep himself in third position in the 38 GS car. And the 13, Tyler Shiflett, he is battling, trying to hunt down Jeff Jacobs at this point. Stephen Thomas and Russell Ruddick, 2 other great drivers in this series, very talented, and it's good to see them both up in that top 6 group.
Oh, absolutely, Kevin, and looks like the 54 of Travis Davis as well. Actually, looks like Travis Davis is now starting to lose time to the 93 of Mike Dam, so I'm not sure whether or not Mike picked up his pace or Davis dropped it at this point, because maybe it all comes down to how much these guys have pushed their cars up to this point.
Absolutely, and the car is going to change over the run. Travis, I'm sure, was really pushing it. As soon as you get those fresh tires on the car, it's your best opportunity to get the best gains on the driver in front of you. But you have to manage it. You have to think about where you're going to need those tires the most, and you have to try and predict, based on your pace with the driver in front of you, how much he's pushing it. So it's a lot of chess match involved here, and unfortunately for Travis, he may have used up his tires. I noticed he's 0.4 slower on that last lap.
And maybe also that damage is actually might be kicking in a little bit, but you know, throughout, Kevin, ever since he got that damage, it did not seem as though it was slowing him down. But now since he's slow, maybe it might be kicking in, or maybe it just got worse with the tire wear.
Yep, it very well could have, and it can affect your braking. It can affect your track out off the corners, your center off speed, which is where you apply throttle at the center of the corner. So there's so many little faculties that come into play at the end of a race. Fatigue sets in, hands are getting sore. A lot of that comes into play. Travis, he's got all the strength in the world. I don't think fatigue will hurt him as much as I think he may have just overdriven the car.
And speaking of Travis, he is catching up to some slower traffic in the ST class. The 22 of John D. Allen with some heavy left front damage actually. And he seems to be slow on the straightaways. And now his next victim is going to be the 63 of Brian Cartier, who's had some rear end damage pretty much all race long.
Yeah, and unfortunately for John Allen, he may lose a few more positions here before the end of the race. He has dropped down to third position at this time, and David Payton is closing.
And Kevin, at the start of this race, the 22 of John D. Allen had the season standings lead for the ST class, and behind him, 2 points, was the 3 of Robert R. Hartley, who is currently the race leader. So I believe if Hartley does win tonight's race, he's going to end up taking over the race lead, over the points lead.
Absolutely. Yeah, the ST championship is so close right now, and it's going to be real interesting how this plays out for John Allen. Unfortunately, it is probably going to see him drop. Looking at the points, he only had a 2-point lead coming into tonight's race over Robert Hartley. David Payton, he had a 26-point lead, so he should be good there, but he will lose that lead in the ST championship.
Yeah, focusing here on that 3 of Robert Hartley, it looks like ever since the mistake made by the 22 of John D. Allen, though, he has put that pedal down as he has pulled out to a pretty good lead right now, showing a rate about 3 seconds there over the second place of 555 Giuseppe Iannucci.
I'm sure Giuseppe is working that wheel. I know he wants to get up there and fight for that lead. He's sitting right now in the championship in 8th place. He gained 5 positions in that championship last week. So I know that with that top 3, he's wanting at least a 2 or a win tonight. It's just a matter if he'll have enough time to get there.
Well, as they cross the start-finish line, we're under 1 minute to go left in this race, so it looks like this will be the last lap here for the Mazdas. Also, it looks like the 93 of Mike Dam is going to cross the start-finish line, so this should be the last lap also for the Mustangs, so that the next time around, they should be receiving the checkered flag.
On the last lap, looks like Mike Dam is catching up to some slower traffic once again. That 80 of Derek Holland, who's following the 5 of Giuseppe Iannucci. Yeah, he looks like he is in his viewing distance. He can see him. So maybe Giuseppe just ended up getting around Derek.
I'm looking at the GS battle here, Sean, between Jeff Jacobs and Tyler Shiflett. It looks like Jeff, fortunately, has pulled out a little bit here from what I'm seeing. He's picked up a little bit of gap on Tyler. I'm not sure what happened there, but Jeff looks like he has secured third if he can keep it together.
And Kevin, if he does secure third, it's going to be a job well done, because, you know, we had seen he had made a mistake by spinning out in one of those turns, ended up losing a lot of time, but still is able to make it back to third place somehow.
Yep, absolutely. Looking back through the field here, it looks like Russell Ruddock has got 6th place secured here on this final lap, if he can hold on to it here. And in 5th place, Stephen Thomas in the GS class. A little ways behind Tyler Shiflett. I don't think he'll get to him, but that should be the finishing order if these guys can hold on for one more lap.
And looks like the 93 of Mike Dam, no pressure whatsoever, exiting turn 17 into turn 18 as his last turn to bring this thing home.
And Mike Dam takes that GS checkered flag tonight here at the Ricmotec Sim 90 at Imola, Italy. Great run for Mike Dam tonight. Again, switching over to Mustang this season, he has really put on quite a show.
And Giuseppe seems to be out of gas and he's being pushed to the start-finish line by his teammate, or a good Samaritan, the 68 of Michael Key.
This is interesting to see who's going to be able to get by in GS class. Or I'm sorry, ST class. Is John Allen actually going to be able to? Oh my goodness, John Allen tried to make the move on the failing car of Giuseppe Iannucci, who ran out of fuel. What a finish.
And looks like that 3 of Robert R. Hartley is going to be come out in first place. The 93 of Mike Dam qualified on the pole, had the fastest practice time, and finished in first place. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give these drivers a few seconds to finish celebrating, and we're going to bring them up. We're going to bring 3 drivers from each class, or the top 3 drivers from each class, up for an interview.
Well, Dave, Sean, it was great being with you this evening. I'll let you finish up your show here tonight, and we appreciate all the viewers out there watching the Ricmotec Sim 90 from Imola, Italy. Our 4th race, our 4th round of the season, first endurance race of the season, and we look forward to seeing everyone back next week. All right, Sean, David, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much for showing up, Kevin. You have a good night.
You too.
Well, Sean, looking at my stats here, it looks like the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci is going to hold off and take that 2nd place position, as it looks like he's going to be able to finish there in 2nd place.
And that was definitely a very close call on his part. I'm guessing, I really don't want to say luck, I want to say maybe experience, because he almost had the perfect fuel on to finish the race, but ended up running out, exiting the last turn. So that was definitely a good job by him to be able to crawl down to the start-finish line without any gas.
Yeah, most definitely here. I'm just keeping an eye on these results, see if it changes here. But it looks like still showing the 555 of Giuseppe Iannucci there in 2nd place.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here shortly we're going to have all drivers in the booth with us, and we're going to begin our interviews. Well, ladies and gentlemen, up in the booth with us is the man of the hour, of the man of the night, for the Grand Sport class with the Ford Mustangs, the 93 of Mike Dam. You got a copy there, bud?
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, Mike, we hope you're doing good tonight. And, buddy, you did a great job out there. You managed to grab the fastest lap time in practice and qualifying, and you ended up winning the race. How in the world were you able to stay consistent and bring it home?
You know what? I'm pretty sore by the end, so you know, there was a lot of luck involved there. Not getting those slowdowns. I was just getting so close to cutting the track and everything, like every single lap. So, but Travis there, he definitely was not losing time on me. So any mistake I made, he was gaining up. So like, yeah, it was tight.
And Mike, we noticed you were getting a little bit loose at some points before your second pit stop of the night. Were you just pushing it too hard, or maybe was the tire wear affecting you negatively?
Yeah, I struggle with the late into the stint with the when the tires just get worn out, and that's when I'm struggling. So I'm best right out of the gate with the fresh tires. So yeah, TD was definitely way faster than me. At that point, he was gaining like 0.4 of a second a lap. So that's my weak point.
Oh, and Mike, towards the end of the race too, we did notice that pretty much throughout the race, he was gaining on you. But then towards the end of the race, you ended up, I'm not sure if you picked up the pace or maybe he slowed down his pace, but it seemed as though he started losing you, or you started losing him. And you ended up finishing in first place with him finishing 5.888 seconds behind you. And Mike, your pit stops tonight, did they go as planned, or could you have done a better job?
No, I think they went perfect, as good as I could have imagined, so yeah, no problems there.
Copy that, Mike. I'm glad to hear everything went well tonight. Well, Mike, we're going to let you go now, and before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the drivers. They make it the great series that it is, and I'd like to thank the admins too for putting it on. Kevin and Jeff, they just do a great job. So I'd also like to thank Ricmotech for sponsoring us, and especially this race. And I'd also like to thank TD Tree Service for his support as well. So, and last but not least, I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting.
I appreciate that, Mike. And Mike, before we let you go again, we've noticed that at the Le Mans race, we had no lead changes because you pretty much led every single lap. And tonight, the only reason that we had lead changes in the Grand Sport class was because you had pitted in, and the driver who stayed out the longest ended up overtaking you, and that was the 14 of Stephen Thomas. So you've pretty much been the fast driver and leading the most laps tonight. So tell us, what should we expect from you next week at Canadian Motorsports Park?
Well, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is my home track, so I live 2 hours from it. So I've been there many times. Not actually racing there, but I've spectated there tons. So.
Oh, sounds good. We definitely keep an eye on you. Sounds like you just might end up getting first place in practice again, first place in qualifying, and first place finishing the race.
Yeah, most points are always tight though. It's a tight track. Everybody's always close.
Well, Mike, congratulations on your first place finish, on your win tonight, and we hope to see you again next week at Canadian Park.
All right, thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the 93 of Mike Dam, the man of the night. And right behind him is the 54 of Travis Davis, also known as TD. Get a copy there, bud.
Yes, sir.
Well, Travis, we had Kevin up in the booth here with us, helping us with tonight's broadcast, and he bragged about you a lot tonight. You know, he mentioned how good of a driver you are, and he also mentioned about how fast or consistent of a driver you are, and also noticed that we were riding shotgun with you at some points during the race. And also noticed an incident that you had with one of those lap cars that you ended up getting to the back of by accident. And Travis, tell us, how was your overall race experience tonight?
It was good. I mean, it was interesting. You know, I felt like I definitely had pace, just couldn't get a luck to get around a few that was holding me up, and you know, that's just part of the multi-class racing. I mean, it's Mike Dam's great racer. Really clean and fast, and you'll have that. But overall, it was a good night. I early on got in the back of Stephen Thomas. I'd like to apologize to him if he is listening, but it was really, I just really thought that he slowed down way more than I anticipated in mid corner. And I don't know if he got a little bit out of whack, and I was right there, but I didn't get any damage or didn't either, but that was kind of crazy. Then later on in the race, there was a Mazda that I came up on, and when I started to go left, I don't know if he just got scared because I come up on him so quick, but it looked like that he just went to the right, and there wasn't no 0X or anything there, and I asked a spotter that was with riding along, and I just couldn't understand it, but overall, it was a good race. Great guys to run with, very competitive field, but really want to say how much we appreciate Ricmatech for being on board with us, bringing the sponsor and making it possible to bring you guys on as well. Without them, without Frank and Ricmatech, having you guys on board would be kind of hard, but we really appreciate him and certainly appreciate you guys doing a great job broadcasting week after week for us, and can't say enough how well and blessed we are to have you on board as well. And of course the admins. A lot of people don't understand what goes behind closed doors, the countless hours every week in, week out, of things getting ready for a league race. And can't say enough about Kevin Ford and Jeff Jacobs. I mean, they're great guys, and they got a passion for this league, and they care about the future of it, and they run it the way that it is because they love it. And I've been able to be in other leagues, still am, in other cars, and they're good to run with, great guys as well, but nothing remotely close to Extreme. I mean, it is just remarkable how that Kevin and Jeff run this, and grateful that Rick Donathan, the owner of Extreme, as well, for all what he does as well.
And TD, we definitely do thank you for the kind words, and we're glad to hear how much you appreciate all the work that gets put in here. It's not an easy job for all those admins. They put on a good show out there. That's why we have the opportunity to broadcast and have the opportunity to be around you guys who put on such a great show out there. I'm also sorry to hear about the incidents that you had early on with the 14 of Stephen Thomas, and also the slower ST car, the 80 of Derek Holland during the race. But other than that, you still managed to come out in second place. And also, I was gonna go over your pit stops, your pit strategies. Did you have any specific pit strategies planned?
No, not really. I really honestly didn't. I just was kind of flying on the seat of my pants and trying to calculate in my mind as this race went on. So, no, I didn't have anything ready, lined up.
And also, TD, we noticed towards the end of the race, after you had pitted in, you were running down Mike Dam, but then I want to say the last 3 to 4 laps, or during the last 5 laps of the race, your pace all of a sudden dropped. Were you having some difficulties with your tire wear, or just technical difficulties?
No, I like it when the tires start to wear. I really do. I've always been that way. Slick tracks or tire wear is really where I like. It's just he was ahead and just kind of got discouraged there towards the end. It just seemed like I couldn't catch a break in traffic or this or that, so there wasn't no reason to keep hammering away. And when I knew that, looking at the time, and I couldn't gain any more, and certainly had a good lead on third place, so I was content with just staying where I was at and trying to be there in the end. That's all.
And Travis, I'm glad to hear that even though Mike Dam was up there, even though you felt discouraged, you were still pretty much determined to either secure second place and not risk pushing it too hard, trying to catch a car that you didn't have enough time catching, which is the 93 of Mike Dam. Well, Travis, congratulations on your second place finish tonight, buddy, and hope to see you again next week at Canadian Motorsports Park.
Thanks again. You guys have a great night.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was 54 of Travis Davis, second place finisher for tonight's race in the Grand Sport Ford Mustang class. But behind him is the 38 of Jeff Jacobs. You got a copy, bud?
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're doing good, Jeff, and we hope you are too. And Jeff, throughout the race tonight, we noticed you had such a great race. You qualified in third place, managed to finish in third place, and we noticed that you ended up having making the first green flag pit stop of the night before anybody else had made their green flag pit stop. in your class. Did you?
Yeah, so I had
go ahead.
decided, early on that I was going to go ahead and come in at the first opportunity as soon as I got into the end of lap 12, I came in and filled the tank back up. Didn't take any tires, just trying to get a quick pit stop done so that I could get right back out on the track and turn laps and get myself to that final pit window where I could take 4 tires and a full tank of fuel and then make it to the end of the race. And that's pretty much exactly how it worked out. When I came across the finish line, I had just enough fuel left to coast around for that last lap. But my theory was that I wanted to do that last 35 minutes, which is the distance we can go on a full tank of gas, on fresh tires. And so I was going to wait and take my fresh tires there for that last stint, then hope I could chase down maybe some of the guys that just took 2 or didn't take any tires that last. That seemed to work out okay.
I'm glad to hear that it ended up being in your favor, and that sounds like a very, very well planned pit strategy. And Jeff, we ended up noticing that when we were following you at one point during the race, I believe it was after your second green flag pit stop of the night, we noticed you ended up getting loose in the right left-hander and ended up going off the track, pretty much made a 360. How in the world were you able to lose that much time yet still finish in third place?
Yeah, that just goes to show that when you're in a long race like this, even if something happens out there on the track, you just got to keep plugging away corner by corner and stay after it and hope that somebody else ahead of you might make a mistake or get caught up in traffic. And that's just a little bit of bad luck for Tyler. I think he had a spin later in the race there just after turn 1 and gave me the opportunity to get back around him. So, but yeah, you can't quit. You just got to keep on going.
That is well said. Since you did not quit, just like you had mentioned, even though you lost that much time and some positions as well, even losing time to the leaders like that, you ended up getting passed by the 13 of Tyler, but then you did not give up and ended up pushing it, gaining some time every single lap, and ended up getting on the 13, who also unfortunately ended up spinning out. Well, Jeff, next week at Canadian Motorsports Park, should we count you in the top 3?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's a good track. That should be a lot of fun, and it'll be really exciting. You get a little smaller track than we had tonight, so the racing action should be even more exciting with the Mazdas and the Mustangs dacing it up there on a little closer confines there in Canada.
I'll copy that, Jeff. Well, Jeff, once again, congratulations on your third place finish, rounding up the podium finishes. And also, before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank or any shout outs you'd like to give?
Oh, hey, I think the other two covered it pretty well, so appreciate Rick Mattek and TD for their sponsorships, and of course you guys doing a great job here with the broadcast.
Thank you, Jeff, and hope to see you again next week, buddy, and have a good night. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was rounding up the top 3 drivers, or top 3 finishers of tonight's race in the Grand Sport class in the Ford Mustangs. But now we have the second half of the winners. We have the 3 of Robert R. Hartley bringing it home for the ST class of the Mazda Miata MX-5s. You got a copy there, Robert?
Yeah, I got you.
Robert, all race long tonight, we noticed that towards the beginning of the race, you're just pretty much riding. Well, I want to say throughout the entire race, you were pretty much riding behind the 22 of John D. Allen, and at one point, the 555 of Iannucci got around you, but you ended up getting the position back. After those pit stops, you ended up catching the 22 of John D. Allen and pretty much stayed behind him. Was your intention to stay behind him like that, or was he just a little bit faster than you were?
John is so fast here. I was trying to keep up with him. He was keeping about a second gap on me just about the whole race. But yeah, he's so fast. All I could do was hang in his draft. And unfortunately he had a spin there, and I was able to keep it straight.
And so, Robert, what you're saying is that, even though John was fast tonight, you were pushing it as well, but then the draft is what helped you the most?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was lucky to get back to him when Giuseppe got by me and we got slowed up a little bit. John broke away by about 2.5 seconds, I think, and I was lucky to get back in his draft and pull away with him there.
And Robert, after your first pit stop of the night, we noticed that before the pit stop, before you guys pitted in, John Allen had a slightly larger lead on you than compared to when you guys exited or left the pits. What happened there? Did you end up just somehow magically having the best pit stop than he did, or is it just you maybe somehow running him down after the pits?
Probably running in the draft, I saved a little bit of fuel, so maybe I didn't have to pit quite as long as he did. So I was able to stick with him right there in the pits, and that was about the only shot I had. My plan was to stick with him and race it out at the end, but fortunately it didn't happen that way.
And Robert, I'm glad to hear that, despite him being faster than you were still able and determined to stay in his draft and pretty much just keep a consistent lead on him, since in the back of your mind you thought you could not keep up with him or catch him, but then you ended up pretty much catching up to him at random points in the turns. You'd end up being on his back bumper, but then would just pretty much stay behind him, and then the lead would keep going on. He would pretty much pull away from you, then you'd reel him back in. He'd pull back away from you, and then you'd do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, Mustangs had a lot to do with that too. They get in between us and separate us a little bit, but I was able to get back to him. Fortunate there.
I'm glad to hear that. Even though for him it's a bad thing that the Mustangs were had to be in the mix, but for you it's a benefit. So basically, his loss was your gain. So that's good to know there. That's a good thing on your part. Well, Robert, before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Just everyone involved with the league. To the drivers, they're so fast and so clean. And the sponsors coming on board, and Rick Motec handing out some prizes. Had some prizes for this race, so that's good to win this one. And thanks to the admins, they do a great job in this league.
And Robert, we've also noticed that so basically all three of you, the top three finishers tonight, Giuseppe and John Allen, all three of you have been very, very tight contenders amongst each other in every single race that you've been in. At Daytona, for instance, you were using the draft to battle each other. At Sebring, it's the same way. So is it going to be the same way? Should we expect the same racing at Canadian Motorsports Park from you and the two opponents?
Oh, definitely. I think there'll be some more lead changes there too. That big back straightaway is always fun.
Oh, copy that. We definitely do look forward to seeing you guys again battling amongst yourselves next week. Good. Congratulations on your first place finish once again, and hope to see you again next week at Canadian Motorsports Park.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the three of Robert R. Hartley, tonight's race winner for the ST class or Street Tuner class with the MX-5s, but right behind him is the 5 of Giuseppe Iannucci. You got a copy there, bud?
Yep, you hear me?
Oh, loud and clear, Giuseppe. We hope you're doing good tonight, buddy, and we noticed that you had an amazing race tonight. Well, I should say eventful before I say amazing, but eventfully amazing race. I'll combine those two words. And pretty much throughout the race, in the beginning, you were battling those drivers, trying to gain as many spots as possible. We noticed you battled with John D. Allen, the 3 of Hartley. Also want to say the 16 of Schwenke as well. You ended up being in second place at one point, but then all of a sudden we were focused on the GS class, and we noticed you were back to about 4th or 5th place in your class. What happened to you?
Yeah, the first half of the race, it was all my mistakes. I couldn't focus, and I was trying to push the car too hard, and I kept going off track. Then I made a big mistake and went into the gravel a little bit. I mean, it was all my mistake. I was just pushing too hard and lost focus. So once I passed the guys, I was trying to catch John. I got a few off tracks, then I got a major off track, and everyone passed me. So I just had my work cut out. Then right before and after my pit stops, I ran into some traffic that slowed me down a ton. But then I settled down and just raced my race. And John had a mistake. John was super fast. He should have won. But he had an incident towards the end of the race, and I was planning on just cruising the rest of the race. So I kind of misjudged my fuel. Once I saw Robert was in reach, I started really pushing and ran out of fuel in the last lap.
I'm glad to hear that even though you ran out of fuel, you were still able to finish in second place. And we also did notice that you were pushing your car a little bit too hard. Well, I don't want to say too hard, but you're pushing it hard, and you kept getting sideways and exiting every single turn. At some points we saw you touch a patch of grass and somehow managed to save the car, and after that I guess you ended up not being able to save it and ended up losing a lot of spots and was back in 5th place. Also tell us, Giuseppe, we noticed that the start finish line, just like you had touched on, you ended up running out of fuel. We noticed everybody was getting around you. How in the world were you able to calculate that much gas to make it all the way?
I calculated a lap short. I thought the Mustang leader was going to catch me, and I was just trying to save as much time, so I was trying to really be tight with fuel. And it was also my second stint saving a ton of fuel. It was just really nice and smooth and calm. So the Mustang leader didn't catch me, and then when Robert was in reach, I started really pushing and run down some fast lap times. And I just, it was just a full race of mistakes for me.
And Giuseppe, you talked about you realizing that you were a lap short. You had underestimated the leader of the GS class. My question to you is that how... I'm trying to think of my question here. I ended up losing my thought. But basically, at what lap or what point in the race did you realize that you were a lap short?
With only 2 laps to go.
Oh my, that leaves you no time to no time to have a plan B. And after you realized that you ended up, that you had a lap short, did you end up maybe clutching it in or backing up your turns, or just still went for it?
Yeah, no, the 2 last laps, I was really just trying to glide as much as possible and keep as much speed going as possible and just do whatever tricks that I could think of to try to last. Yeah, so once on the second to last lap, I realized I was going to be short. I started to do whatever I can just to be able to glide over the line.
And you definitely did do a great job on getting on the line. We noticed that 64 of David Payton tried his best to give you a push, but that didn't seem to work as effectively as it looked, because it seemed as though he was making you get loose and giving you some damage in the process, and he ended up just leaving you. But you ended up still managing to cross the start finish line before the 22 of John D. Allen could get to you.
Well, that was my fault. Michael Key was being a nice guy and pushing me over the line, and I didn't even see John or anyone else on my relatives, so I was just thinking about crossing the line. And so I said, so he asked if I wanted to push. Then once I said yes, then Travis reminded me that the race was still going on. It wasn't after the race, so I told him to back out. So he gave me a small tap, and then as soon as I said back out, he backed out. So yeah, it was just a full race of mistakes for me.
I'm sorry to hear about everything you went through tonight, but you still managed to finish in 2nd place despite having some racing incidents during the race, like all those off tracks and pushing your car too hard and getting loose, managing to save it, and also running out of gas at the start finish line, but still being able to finish in 2nd place. Well, Giuseppe, it was fun watching you race, buddy, and congratulations on your 2nd place finish. And before we let you go, is there any shout out you'd like to give?
Yeah, my mom is loving that she gets to watch my brother and I compete in the sport again. She was a mom of 2 very aggressive and crazy boys that played every extreme hardcore sport and traveled over the country. So we kind of forced her into loving this. So she's loving to see us compete again, but in the same sport at the same time. But gotta thank her for watching and for dealing with us as we were younger and absolutely nuts. But gotta thank the guys from the league, Kevin, Jeff, and everyone else that really, they do so much work to make this possible. TD's Tree Service, Rick Motek, and you guys for broadcasting. I mean, really, it's nice to be able to compete in something again.
Well, thank you for the kind words, Giuseppe, and I'm glad to hear that you and your brother are both competing in the same sport here on iRacing. And Giuseppe, we've noticed there's a driver in here with the same last name as you, but I forget his first name. Is that your brother?
Yeah, that's my brother. He's really fast in real life. He'll be faster than me on iRacing soon. He just got into it probably 2 months ago, so, and he's already up to speed. So yeah, it's my brother Pat. He's one to watch out for in the coming future.
And that's that 8 of Pascal Iannucci. Is that how you pronounce it, Pascal?
Pasquale, but you could just call him Pat. It makes it easier.
Oh, copy. That's the 8 of Pat Iannucci. Well, Giuseppe, we hope to see you, or look forward to seeing you next week at Canadian Motorsports Park, and have a good night, buddy.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the top two finishers of the ST class or MX-5 Miata, but the man of the hour, or the driver who was determined to be the man of the night for the ST class, John D. Allen. Got a copy there, bud?
I am here. Hey, Sean.
Good to see you, John. And John, tell us, how was your race, your overall race experience tonight, besides spinning out?
Except for that, it was great. It was. I had no experience on this track before this weekend, and but ran it in a couple other leagues prior to this. So this was a third race in a 48-hour period, and I've actually kind of grown to love it and found a way to be very quick here. Not quite quick enough to break the draft with the other fast guys we have here, as Robert alluded to earlier, but yeah, not sure what happened with 5 or 6 laps to go there, but really the only place that I felt significantly quicker than Robert was at that turn, that Piratella, and maybe I just pushed a little too much, thinking that was the chance I had to break away again. Not sure what happened, but after I put it in the wall, I looked at the gap from me to David Payton in 4th, and I thought, well, rather than pit and take repairs, I'd try and nurse it around and see if I could stay ahead of him and not lose but the 1 spot or 2, and that worked out okay. At the end, with that push that Giuseppe got from Michael, I don't know that it really made a difference at the end. There's nothing in the rules that says you can't do that, and if I was in his position, I probably would have loved to get a push as well. So just made for a more interesting finish. We came across pretty close in the line for the vast difference in speed. I was going full power and he was coasting, so I'm sure that looked interesting.
Oh, absolutely. We were definitely holding our seats, just pretty much grabbing our seats because it was going to be a close finish between you and Giuseppe right there. And when he was getting pushed, we were just seeing whether or not that push was going to benefit him and help him finish in second place, but he didn't even get much of a push, so that was pretty much all him. He fell short on his pit strategy and ended up still managing to finish in second place, and you almost got around him, but it was just a little bit too late, about less than 2 seconds from what I had seen there. And John, throughout the race tonight, your pit strategies, how were they successful for you tonight?
Oftentimes I don't go into the race with a pit strategy. I kind of wait and see how the race develops, but with these longer races where there's 2 pit stops, I think it's better to have a planned strategy, and if you need to deviate from it, do so. But my plan was to run enough fuel out the first time that I could get 4 tires on both stops, and take the amount of fuel necessary. For whatever reason, on my first stop, the 4 tires took a little bit longer than I thought, and I wound up with extra fuel, so it left me in a position where for the last stop I had to decide whether I wanted to sit long enough to get 4 tires when I really didn't need that much fuel or not, and I chose to pick 2 tires instead of 0 or 4, and that may have had something to do with the car handling a little bit different and why I got loose. I'm not sure, but it's usually best to take 0 or 4 so you don't run into that situation. So it may have been a mistake on my part, reacting to the change in strategy on the fly.
And John, we did notice that everybody else was either taking left sides or no tires in your class, but you decided to take right sides on your second pit stop. How did that affect you? Was that because of your driving style, as Kevin had mentioned, or was it just pretty much a mistake?
No, I meant to take right sides rather than left. The entrance to the 2 faster chicanes are, both left-hand turns, and that's where I was struggling most on this course, was the turn in on the 2 faster chicanes. So I opted for right sides to have a little more control there. The places where left turns come into play, down at Acqua Minerale and the final chicane, you're going so slow, I didn't feel like it was necessary to have the left side, so that's why I made that choice.
Oh, copy that, John. Oh, John, congratulations on your 3rd place finish. You're rounding up the podium finishes. Despite you having that incident that you had, you still were able to come out in 3rd place, staying ahead of the 64 of David Payton, who was trailing right behind you on the same lap as you. Well, before I let you go, John, is there any shout out you'd like to give or any thanks?
Yeah, definitely. You hear it from everybody, and there's a good reason for it. You guys have been a key part of helping grow this league, and we really appreciate your efforts in that. And just from the top on down, from Rick and Kevin and Jeff, and sponsors now with Frank on board, and TD with his tree service taking part as well. So, it was an enjoyable league before any of that happened, and now that it has sponsorship and it's really gaining some legs, we're that much more excited to see it grow.
I'm glad to hear that, John. And John, congratulations on your third place finish once again tonight, and we hope to see you and hopefully have better luck next week at Canadian Motorsports Park.
That's a great track, good action for sure. Looking forward to that. It should make for a great watch.
Oh, we do look forward to it. We'll look forward to seeing you up front once again as usual, just like every single race. And have a good night, buddy.
You too, guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was rounding up all top 3 drivers from both classes. And Dave, it was a fun race once again. Thank you for broadcasting with me. And before we leave, Dave, what was your favorite part about tonight's race?
Just seeing all the different pit strategies, and once again seeing how well these drivers work together, whether they're in the Mazdas or the Mustangs, and just the amount of respect that all these drivers have for one another.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. I definitely agree with you on that as well. These drivers trust each other. They can race each other as hard as possible, and as hard as they can, and they won't have to worry about the other drivers. So it's really awesome to see how much faith they have, how much they trust each other, and how much respect that all sums up. And also want to thank Kevin C. Ford for joining us up in the booth. He's an admin here at Extreme Motorsports. So if you guys are interested in joining this kind of racing or this type of racing, check out extrememotorsports99.com. And when you type in Extreme, make sure you type it without the E at the beginning. Just start with extrememotorsports99.com. They have both an oval and road series, so you can join whichever one based on your preference. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for joining us tonight for the Extreme Motorsports Rick Motec Sports Car Series here at Imola. And next week, we're going to be racing at Canadian Motorsports Park with the same cars. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for being a part of All Pro Broadcasting. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Leave us a like. And if you dislike something, please let us know why, so we can know why, what we're doing wrong, and what we can make better for you guys. If you're new to the channel, once again, hit the subscribe button. If you're not new to the channel, thank you for all you do. And Michelle, thank you once again for being active in the chat and being an active supporter and the greatest supporter of iRacing and All Pro Broadcasting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us once again. We want to thank Rick Motec for sponsoring this series. I am Sean Zulu and Dave Everly behind those cameras. I also want to thank Kevin C. Ford once again for joining us tonight. And have a good night.
Extreme Motorsports brings you the Rick Motec Sports Car Series, brought to you by Rick Motec, high-performance sim racing equipment, and in part by TD's Tree Service. Live coverage coming your way right now on the All Pro Broadcasting Network.
watching All Pro Broadcasting with
Freedom Train.
Hey, this is Garrett Smithley, driver the number 0 JD Motorsports Chevrolet, and you're watching All Pro Broadcasting.